Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mike Kittner from 360 Heroes, and I'm here to kind of show you a little bit about 360CamMan and kind of give you an overall view of how the entire product works. So after you get your install loaded up, the first thing that CamMan is going to come up and do is going to ask you where your workspace is. And what I like to do typically on here is I like to pick one of the drives that I might have available, and I create a 360 video folder. And then I might have different types of projects in those types of folders depending upon what we're doing. Okay? So in this particular case, I'm just going to leave my primary folder to 360 video, and then all my subfolders are created as I build projects as we begin to move forward. Now, as a quick overview of the product, I'd like to just show you there are three areas that CamMan is broken down into. One of them is the workflow tools, and workflow tools allows us to sign multi-drive configurations. You can either use one micro SD card slide, or you can use multiple. In this case, I'm actually using an Anchor 10 port system. I have an Anchor 10 port as well as an Anchor 13 port, and between those two different types of ports, depending upon what you're doing, we can load multiple drives and multiple heads in here. And in this configuration, the system is automatically recognizing 8 cards that I have loaded, but yet I've selected the Pro 7 system here, so it's automatically mapped drive letters to those particular volume labels in this configuration. So things that we can do is we can format the cards before we start, and again, we can do one drive at a time if we want to by using the single drive option, or we can do the multi-drive option, which takes us back over to the drive configuration, and it'll do all of these drives at once depending upon what you've selected. So here we have 7 cards selected, so let me just make this just a little bit bigger here. We have 7 cameras selected. If I was using the 10 camera rig, it's looking for 9 different cameras in this configuration. Or in this particular case, we are filming with the Pro 7, so even though that I have 8 cards loaded, it's only going to grab the first 7 cards. And in the format area, this is where we're pre-formatting the cards before we go out and shoot. And what it does is it properly labels each one of these drives this particular name. Now, if I want to relabel a name, like for example, if I want to take this card number 8, and I now want to make it this card is actually going to go in camera number 10, I can actually select the camera number, hit auto relabel, and it automatically relabels that one to 10. Or what you can also do is if I select, let's say I want to make this one number 9, and I hit auto increment on, it'll allow you to do this really fast. I can hit relabel this label, and then what it'll do is automatically increment this by 1. So as you keep loading the cards in, if they were blank, it'll automatically increment for you. So all you have to do is come down here and hit relabel drive. And then the format process, again, because we want to make sure that when we're formatting the data, and we want to make sure that you confirm that you have selected the right drives from this area, and you verified each one of them by selecting, and you can see all the different details and files within each one of these, if you'd like. All right. And then if you do agree to that, you can click I agree, and then that will open up the format drive so that you can actually begin formatting all the cards. Now, I'm not going to start this process here because I've got data on here that I want to use, but if I want this to automatically start, I can hit begin formatting, and if the loaded cards matches the card that it's looking for, it'll automatically start formatting. Or if I tag on auto, it will automatically start formatting for me. So as it views each one of the drives from the drive letter, it will automatically format those drives for me. So it's a nice process of automation so that I don't have to shuffle cards manually. So we're going to quit the format process. Let's go into the copy process. So here, if I want to do single card copy, I can grab a single card inside of here and grab it individually if I like. Or I can do this with multiple cards. And as soon as I click multiple cards, here we can configure all the drives to do that. Or what it'll also do is, because I say configure multiple cards, it automatically grabs each card and the details and the file sizes for each one of them. And it says, hey, on this 7-camera system, there's 21 files, so the video max is yes, which means for each camera, if I notice here, I've got 3 takes. So on drive G, I got 3 takes. Drive I, I've got 3 takes. So it's looking at that information and immediately telling me, because I'm doing videos, that that's automatic. Now, the reason why I can't copy files here is because the first thing I need to do is create a project. So here I'm going to create a project called training test. Excuse me. Now that this training test is created, I can go out and hit Explorer, and the Explorer will show me where I've actually created this file. So if you notice, it's on the E drive, training test, and this is the program file that we use to manage CamMan projects with. That's created here, and now it's actually ready to start copying the data. So we're going to let this copy the data into the system. So we'll hit copy, and because I'm using the automated system, it's going to give me the progress in reference to how it's copying every single one of these files. So I want to say auto start, and what it's doing is auto start copying each one of these files at a time, 78 megs a second on these particular cards as we go to copy the data. And the top progress bar is giving me the progress of the existing card that we're actually working on. The second overall progress card down here on the bottom is for all 7 cards as we go to copy the data. And then when this gets to the end of this card, it automatically goes out and is checking for card 2. It found card 2, so now it's going to start copying in the data from the second card. So now we just kind of jumped ahead here. It's on card number 4. So we'll let it just progress through the card copy. Okay, we're now up to card number 6. Again, we're just whipping through each one of these individually. Okay, now as soon as it finishes the last card, the screen automatically disappears. And we're now ready to start managing the takes. So before we do that though, I want to show you what the file looks like. So what we've just done is these are the original file names on each one of the GoPro cards, or the SD cards. And as we brought them in, we actually renamed them, so it was kind of an intelligent naming sequence, so that we know that this particular camera was on head 1, camera 1. The NA field is for 3D, so this could say left, right, or inapplicable, meaning we didn't use 3D. Our project name, and then our original GoPro name. And you notice it has each one of the camera numbers, camera 1, 2, 3, for each one of the files. Now, what we want to do is manage this in the take file area. So we're going to close out of here. We're going to manage takes. And this shows you what we were just looking at in each one of the files. Now what we want to do is open the video analyzer. And what the video analyzer is going to do is going to look at each one of these files that are in here and help us sort this information out. So we can see that when we look at this, what the frame size was and the ratio. So if anything here had an orange color or a red color, it'll immediately tell you that you programmed the GoPro cameras incorrectly. So because everything is nice in a white background, all the frame settings were correct. Now if we go to video length, we can actually see the frame count for each one of them. And we can see this in minutes, and we can also see it in seconds for each one of these. Now, the nice part about this is in this particular area, we can move these things around if we wanted to. If we discovered that this video wasn't in the right spot, we can actually move it out or move them to different takes, and it automatically lets you move the files around in the sequence. But right now, for this particular example, everything was nicely, neatly configured so that we have take 1, take 2, and take 3. And here we have a frame tolerance of 20. So if this frame tolerance was set down lower, let's say if we set it to 5, we can actually figure out what frames didn't quite match in that set. So we know that when we start to do the video sync side of it, we know that they weren't perfect in how the GoPro remotes turned everything on and off. So we can kind of move, set that tolerance and know that there was a count difference. So we know that everything tolerance-wise was plus or minus 10 frames, which is good. So now what we're going to do is tell this to move it to takes. So this is what the folder looks like before we started. And then if I tell it now to move to takes, it just took all those folders and made it their own take folder, and also put the take number in front of it, so that when we go to process the content later, it's much easier to physically look at the file and go, oh, this is from take 1, okay, holder 1, camera 1. This decode, we're going to go over this a little bit later. This is mainly used in the 3D content and what head or holder location it was on the 3D gear. So we'll go through that in one of the more advanced classes. But pretty much here we have take number, holder number, camera number, left, right, which is not applicable here, our project name, and our GoPro name. And now we're ready to work with this content. Other things that you can also do here is you can actually right-click over here and play the video file. So if you actually wanted to see what that video file looked like, you can actually look at the contents of that video file as well for each one of them. Now to assign that, you go up to Options and say Set Video Player Folder. And we're using a VLC, so this will automatically take you to their website. You can download that and then just tell our system where your player was located for that executable, and that will work. And this is again for both the Mac as well as the PC. So that's pretty much a quick overview on managing the takes. And now the next thing that we're going to do is, now that we've went through each one of these, other things that we can also do is video conversion tools. So for example, if you have a particular project and you wasn't using CamMan and you had the folder names come up, Cam 1, Cam 2, Cam 3, Cam 4. So in this example here, I'm going to show you, I'm going to move us to another drive here. So I'm going to actually take us to a time-lapse folder. So here's a photo time-lapse, and I have each one of the cameras, and I got some sample files here in each one of the folders. And I want to convert this now to something that's usable. So in CamMan, what we can do, and this works for both videos as well as photos, we're going to say find the folder location. And the folder location that we're using in this particular case is Drive S, time-lapse. And we want to create a new project. So our project name is called time-lapse test. And this is the prefix name of the folder. So if you take a look in here, notice the prefix, we got cam for each one of these, and then we have 1 through 6. So we enter the prefix name, and we're going to tell it to load this data. So it's telling me that the file path is time-lapse cam 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, this works for both photos and videos. And in this particular folder, we only have photos, so it's telling me a photo count of 20. And now what I'm going to do is convert these folders so that it'll automatically swap correctly. Oh, it's telling me, it gave me an error message. It's saying, well, hey, wait a minute. We got camera 7, but you only have 6 camera folders that we're dealing with. That's what this error message was. Wrong camera model was selected. So now we're going to go back to our workflow and tell it that this was a Pro 6 rig. Go back to my conversion tools, and I'll tell it to reload it. And notice now I only have 6 cameras. So now when I go to convert, the project has now been converted. So here we have our time-lapse folder, 360 Pro folder name, and when I look into folders, it automatically renamed the files ready for taking. So I have set 1, set 2, set 3, set 4, and then the camera numbers for each. So now you can automatically take these folders, automatically bring them into PTGUI, do a batch stitch for time-lapse. So that's how you do the time-lapse photos. Some other things that we can do is we've solved the 4 gig limit problem. The GoPros can run into a 4 gig limit, and what this will allow you to do is you can drag multiple files together here. It'll also recognize a GoPro file as well, but you can drag multiple videos together and merge them together, which is kind of nice, into one big file, and that way you won't drop any frames when you're copying content between different file folders. The side-by-side allows you to drag in the left eye and the right eye and create a 3D side-by-side. So for example, I have a video here, and I'm going to take both the left eye and I'm going to put the right eye, the same video over here. If I want, I can create a side-by-side automatically, and I'm going to tell it to create a side-by-side image. So what it's going to do is take the content between the two side-by-side files. It's going to properly pair it between each one of them and create a side-by-side image. So here, if we notice, this is the original file that we brought up. So you can see it's just a single file. And now I'm going to convert that to a side-by-side file. So here we now have it automatically duplicated. So that'll create all that content for you automatically. And you can do the fade in and fade out here as well. So you can change this to 0% if you don't want any fading as you go to create the side-by-side content. And then the last thing, or excuse me, the second last thing is the video optimizer. Once you create this side-by-side content, you need to optimize it for the different devices. So if I want to play this, let's say in the Gear VR, I can drag this content in here, and then I can say optimize this for Gear VR content, or DK1, DK2, or the different dome projection systems, or for web viewing. And if I optimize this for Gear VR, it automatically optimizes the size of this video to that proper format. So if I say optimize video, it's going to convert it for me automatically. And this becomes its own process. So once this is running, I can actually go out here and do other things at the same time while this process is running in the background. And what it does there, just so you can recognize its format, it's going to append the prefix name to the front of that. So it makes it a little easier for me to find the file. So for example, when we created our side-by-side content, as you can see here, it appended the underscore left-right. Gear VR needs that to know that it's a left-right file. And then if I optimize that for the Gear VR, it takes that very same file name that I used here for left-right, and we prefixed Gear VR to the front of it, and then optimize the video output for Gear VR, converting it to a 3840 by 1920 video with the different frame rates associated with that. And then the last thing is called video sync, is that when you have a nice little video here that describes this, and it lets you manually adjust your video and audio sync, and the video will step you through this. And then this frame offset, when you pull the numbers in from Adobe Premiere or using Final Cut, the frame number that starts and stops is different in reference to how it's used in Kohler or Video Stitch. So you're going to enter the frame offset number here, the audio offset that you find by matching up the audio wavelengths here. You'll match them up to the new offsets that are shown over here. So for example, this is the Adobe Premiere offsets. So we set the frame numbers here to the different frame positions. So if I move this counter to this pot, I can see that I've got it exactly lined up. So for camera 1, its start position is 2518. So for camera 1, I just type in 2518. And it'll start calculating the proper offsets for the other ones. So if I slide over here, notice I've manually moved these so that the frame offsets, the audio matches up perfectly. And if I move here, so camera 2 starts at a frame offset of 3636. So camera number 3, we'll just line this one up real quick. Its frame is 539. And then, let's see, let's open this back one up for number 4. Number 4 is 1393. And then if I find number 5 here, that's 733. And then if I look at camera number 6, and I get that by the C06. This is why we named the files the way we name them. And camera number 6 is on frame 0. So now we can take this number here and automatically enter them into the frame offsets inside of Video Stitch in this particular case. And now when we go to play the video back, the video is automatically synced perfectly. So that's what the video sync. And again, you can play this little help file here to find that. And then the last folder, we have the CamMan training. That's where all of these videos are coming from. And you can pull them right from these pull-down lists here. We'll have each one of the sections roll up in more detail. So we'll give you more inside tricks on using Drive Assign and how to relabel them. We'll go through different tricks for formatting, different tricks for copying both video as well as photos, and then different tricks for managing takes and using photos and things like that inside of each one of these. And then you'll also notice managing time-lapse photos inside of here. I can click each one of these and see where these videos are actually located. And if I'm missing something for whatever reason, I can come in here and add a cell to that. And that'll automatically offset everything by putting in a blank filler. Or if I want, I can actually grab the blank filler and I can delete that cell and move it away and reline them back up. So it's some nice tools for managing photos inside each one of these. And again, we'll go through a lot more of this in the training section as we begin to move forward with the new version. So this is a quick overview of 360CamMan. So thank you very much. This is Mike Kittner from 360 Heroes, giving you a demo on 360CamMan version 2.